The rain was so heavy that night, it felt like the sky itself had broken apart. Water slammed against the windshield of my old pickup truck so hard that I could barely see the road ahead. The wipers moved left and right in desperate rhythm, but they were losing the battle. Lightning split the darkness for a second, revealing an empty highway stretching endlessly through the storm. I was exhausted, soaked in sweat despite the cold, and running on nothing but stubbornness. Then I saw them. Two girls stood beside a broken-down car on the shoulder of the road, completely stranded in the middle of nowhere. Their headlights were dim, the hood was open, and rain poured over them like a waterfall. One of them waved frantically when she saw my truck. I almost kept driving. Not because I didn't care, but because life had taught me that stopping for people often brought trouble. And honestly, I had enough trouble of my own. But something made me hit the brakes. Before we continue, if you believe kindness still matters in this world, if you believe one small act can change someone's life, please like this video, comment below, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this. I pulled over and stared at the steering wheel for a second. My name is Daniel Carter, and at 32, life had beaten me down harder than that storm outside. I worked 2 jobs, one at a garage during the day and another delivering supplies at night. My wife had left 2 years ago after telling me she was tired of being married to a man who fixed everything except his own life. That sentence stayed with me. She wasn't entirely wrong. I had spent my whole life repairing broken things, engines, machines, wiring, plumbing. But the things inside me? The loneliness. The disappointment. The constant feeling that no matter how hard I worked, I was always behind. Those things stayed broken. Still, I opened the truck door and stepped into the freezing rain. By the time I reached them, I was drenched. The taller girl looked relieved enough to cry. She was wearing a soaked black coat, her hair stuck to her face. The other girl looked younger, maybe in her early 20s, hugging herself to stay warm. Their car was a silver sedan. It just died, the taller one said, voice shaking. It started making weird sounds and then stopped. I nodded and looked under the hood. Battery connections were fine. Then I saw it. The serpentine belt had snapped. Not good. I checked deeper and found something else, the tensioner had jammed. That explained everything. I sighed. This isn't a quick fix, I said. Their faces fell instantly. The younger girl whispered, we don't have signal. No tow truck. Nothing. I looked around. The road was deserted. Storm worsening. Temperature dropping. I had one option. Wait in my truck, I told them. I have tools. The taller girl stared at me like she wasn't sure whether to trust me. I understood. The world had made everyone suspicious. But eventually, they climbed into my truck while I worked in the rain. The repair was brutal. The storm made everything harder. My flashlight kept slipping. My hands went numb. Mud soaked my jeans. Twice, the wrench slipped and smashed into my knuckles, tearing skin. Blood mixed with rainwater. But I kept going. Because something strange happened while working on that car. For the first time in months. I stopped thinking about myself. I wasn't thinking about unpaid bills. Not about my ex-wife. Not about loneliness. Just one simple goal. Get these girls home safe. 40 minutes passed. Then 50. Finally, I installed a spare belt for my truck supplies and forced the tensioner into position. I turned the ignition. The engine sputtered. Coughed. Then roared back to life. The girls jumped out of the truck. They looked stunned. The younger one actually laughed in disbelief. You fixed it? I wiped rain off my face. For now. It'll get you home. The taller girl looked at me in complete silence. Then she said something unexpected. "We want to see you again." I blinked. "What?" She stepped closer. "Not flirtatious. Not playful. Serious. We want to see you again." I frowned. "Why?" That question sat in my head all the way home. The taller girl introduced herself as Emma. The younger one was Sophie, her sister. Emma pulled out a small notepad from her purse, scribbled something, and handed it to me. "An address. Come tomorrow," she said. Noon. I looked at the address. It was in the city. Upscale neighborhood. Definitely not where people like me went. "What is this?" Emma gave a small smile. "A thank you." Then they drove away. I stood there in the storm, holding wet paper, confused. The next morning, I almost threw the note away. People didn't invite strangers to expensive neighborhoods unless something weird was happening. Still, curiosity won. At noon, I drove to the address. And nearly turned around. The house wasn't a house. It was a mansion. Massive gates. Beautiful gardens. Luxury cars parked outside. I checked the address 3 times. Same place. My truck looked like scrap metal compared to everything around me. A security guard approached. Before I could explain, the gate opened. "Mr. Carter is expected." Expected? I drove in slowly. My heartbeat climbed. Emma opened the front door before I even knocked. But she looked completely different. No rain-soaked coat. No frightened expression. She wore elegant clothes, carried herself with confidence, and suddenly looked like someone from a completely different world. Sophie stood beside her, smiling. I felt underdressed, dirty, out of place. Emma invited me inside. The interior was breathtaking. Marble floors. Huge windows. Art everywhere. Money. Serious money. I finally asked the question burning in my mind. "Who are you?" Emma held eye contact. "My father owns one of the largest automotive companies in the state." I froze. "Automotive?" She continued. "He built everything from a small repair shop." That got my attention. She gestured toward a wall. There were framed photos. One photo showed an old mechanic shop. Grease. Tools. Worn uniforms. A younger man smiling proudly. Emma's voice softened. That was where it started. Then her expression changed. "My father passed away 6 months ago." Silence filled the room. She continued. "He taught us something before he died." She looked directly at me. "He said if you want to know a person's heart, don't watch them when life is easy. Watch them when helping someone costs them something." My chest tightened. Emma continued. "We weren't stranded by accident." My mind stopped. "What?" Sophie lowered her gaze. Emma spoke carefully. "The car was intentionally disabled." I stared. "No. No way. That storm." "Yes," Emma said. "The storm was real." I couldn't process what I was hearing. "You tested me?" Emma nodded. "We've been searching for someone." "For what?" She inhaled deeply. "For someone to lead our father's original garage division." I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it sounded insane. "You've got to be kidding." Emma shook her head. "No." She walked toward a folder on the table. Inside were documents. Financial reports. Employee retention data. Expansion plans. She spoke quietly. "The corporate side is profitable. But the original garages are dying. Why me? Emma's answer came instantly. Because you stopped. I frowned. She continued. You were tired. Alone. It was dangerous. The repair cost you time, energy, and physical pain. She looked at my healing knuckles. You still stayed. Sophie added softly, 3 other cars passed us. That hit hard. Emma said, you were the only one who stopped. I looked down. I didn't know what to say. Then came the real shock. Emma placed a contract in front of me. We want to offer you a position. I stared. Operations Director. Salary. Benefits. Housing allowance. Bonus structure. The number at the bottom made my hands shake. It was more money than I had made in years. I whispered, why would you trust someone you met once? Emma gave the answer I never forgot. Because character reveals itself fastest when no one is watching. I couldn't breathe properly. For years, I felt invisible. Replaceable. Forgettable. And now 2 strangers saw something in me, something I had stopped seeing in myself. But fear rose immediately. What if I failed? What if they were wrong about me? What if kindness in one storm didn't mean I was capable of something bigger? I said no. Emma looked surprised. I can't. Why? I'm not educated for this. We can train skills. I'm rough around the edges. We don't need polished. I'm broken. That word slipped out before I could stop it. The room went silent. Emma looked at me, not with pity, but understanding. Then she said something that shattered me. My father used to say broken tools still build beautiful things. I felt my throat tighten. Because for the first time in years, someone spoke to the part of me I had buried. The man who used to dream. The man who wanted more. The man who thought his life could matter. I sat down. And cried. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just silent tears I had carried for years. Sophie handed me tissues. No one rushed me. No one judged me. I finally spoke. She left because I wasn't enough. Emma replied gently. Someone leaving doesn't define your worth. I covered my face. Years of pain poured out. I talked about debt. Loneliness. Failure. Shame. Everything. And when I finished, Emma asked one question. Daniel, if life gave you a second chance, would you take it? That question echoed in my soul. Would I? Or had I become so used to suffering that hope felt dangerous? I looked out the window. The storm from last night was gone. Sunlight covered the gardens. Everything looked new. And suddenly I understood something. The storm wasn't just weather. It was me. And maybe storms don't last forever. I signed. The next 6 months changed everything. The work was brutal. Learning management. Handling staff. Solving operational problems. Building trust. But I knew one thing better than spreadsheets. People. I treated mechanics with respect. Listened. Worked beside them. Fixed problems. Slowly, the garage division transformed. Morale improved. Profits rose. Customer satisfaction exploded. The old garages came alive again. Word spread. But the biggest change wasn't financial. It was personal. I started healing. I smiled more. Slept better. Stopped hating my reflection. And Emma. Emma became part of that journey. We spent hours discussing business, life, and grief. She carried pain too. Losing her father had broken something inside her. Somehow, we helped each other rebuild. One evening, months later, we stood in the original garage, the first one her father built. Grease smell. Old tools. History. Emma looked around and smiled. My father would have liked you. I smiled. I wish I met him. She looked at me with wet eyes. I think you did. I frowned. What do you mean? She touched the old toolbox. He believed kindness always returns. Then she looked at me. And I think you were his answer. That broke me again. Because I realized something. That rainy night. I thought I was saving two strangers. But maybe they were saving me. Before the ending, I have a special request for you. Comment below with one word, kindness, if you believe a single good deed can change a life forever. Years later, I still think about that storm. How close I came to driving past. How one small decision changed everything. One brake pedal. One choice to stop. One act of kindness. That was all it took. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts around the world. Because sometimes the life you save with kindness is your own. And sometimes, in the middle of your darkest storm, someone is already driving toward you.